to be motivated to seek out, whether it be relationships or, just hooking up with somebody like as a primary drive in their life. It's like, for me, that's been chronically sort of in the back. It's something that I would have to focus on for an extended period, whereas it's much easier to exist in other ways. Part of the reason why I thought it was funny when I was asking Audra is I was like, I think when we had first met, I was trying to ask her like if she was in a relationship with people, and basically she just sort of slowly, it wasn't like she was avoiding it. It was just funny because she was like, yeah, I like books, and I do like 3-gun competitions, and she's talking about all the shit that she does. I'm like, but what about people? She's like, oh yeah, that's a thing.
People exist.
Yeah.
Turns out, didn't realize they do though.
Do not like that, Audra.
I like people in but not like, I don't want one of my own.
I like dogs. I mean, I wouldn't have one as a pet, but they're nice.
Yeah, that's sort of the thing. I mean, this is where I probably get as close to, like, I don't know, whatever term you would want to use, like a meathead or whatever. It's like the closest I get to that is that I kind of view relationships or, hooking up with somebody kind of like kids in a way. Like I like hanging out with them, and then I immediately want to send them back to their parents. Like I don't, like, as soon as shit gets boring, I'm like, all right, you go back to where the fuck you came from.
I definitely get that. Don't get me wrong by any means, because I've definitely seen relationships where I'm like, God, that seems like so much more trouble than it's worth. But I would say that's very true for relationships in particular, and I would say in specific relationships. Like, my relationship is extremely refreshing. It's rejuvenating. It's, it's spiritually healing in a way that, normal day-to-day interaction is not. Even hooking up is not. And me personally, I just haven't in particular found that abstinence really worked for me as a person. I wasn't ever a big fan of it simply because it just didn't seem to. It just frustrated me more than anything.
Yeah, I'd like to sort of stress that it's not a strategy that I'm employing. It's like it's inertia more than anything else.
Right, and I definitely feel that into because I was that way for a very long time. Like, I was a virgin until I think I was 18 years old, and I was dating a girl for a very long time, and I think we were dating for like 2 or 3 years before we ever had sex. And again, it wasn't necessarily a driving force in the relationship. It just was a natural progression. But even then, it was like once we did it, it sort of brought everything to the forefront, and I guess kind of brought the whole sexual part of our relationship much more in focus. And that, like, as far as it being a healthy part of our relationship, like, it made it intimate, it made it important, like, we felt weird if we didn't, stuff like that. And then as a person, and again, I understand 100% that some people are just not sexual. I am. Like, it's even every time from that point on. Every time from that point on, it was like, okay, well, I am sexual. Like, I need to have sex. Or I feel frustrated. I don't feel myself. I don't feel as happy. That's just who I am. And I've definitely met plenty of people who were like, it's just not me. Like, dog, I just don't care enough.
Like, I definitely identify with frustration mostly, because it's like I've never really fit in or identified with the more asexual crowd. I'm like, no, I definitely have sexuality. It's just, you know, it's, I mean, like, I don't know how the fuck to say it without sounding like, you know, some sort of a prude in some way. Like, oh, I'm trying to, you know, like, it's important to me. I just don't want to go to, but it's like, earlier in my life, I would have considered that as more a factor of religious upbringing or something like that. Whereas now I'm like, no, I think that's part of how I exist, or like how I, it's not so much viewing the world. It's like how I react, like how I'm wired in a way. It's like that sort of interaction with somebody is something that I would want to like sort of cultivate and build up with someone.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'll tell you that being sexual and wanting to have sex with a lot of different women, the sexual drive, I mean, that's a natural part of being a person, and especially being male. It's like testosterone that's what it does. And I feel like a lot of guys feel like that they should be ashamed because they feel like a certain amount of guilt because they feel sexually attracted to the attractive women around them. Because, like, I run into this actually surprisingly a lot, like I used to, is guys would be like, you know, they would want to go hit on a chick at the bar or just talk to her or whatever. They'd be like, I want to go talk to that girl. And I'd be like, you know, and they'd be like, well, I don't want her to think that, you know, I want to have sex with her. And I'd be like, why? You do, right? Well, yeah. Well, what's
That's pretty much the main reason, because you don't go walking over to dudes just like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah, it's like, no, you do. There's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with being sexually attracted to a woman as a man. That's fucking human biology, dog. Like, don't overthink that, because I you know, I've run into that a lot. Like, there's no shame in that. Like, if you just want to have sex, well, yeah, I definitely do. Like, I don't think you're a piece of fucking meat, but no, I want to bang your brains out. Which, like I said, is like a thing that a lot of guys seem to run into, like going out downtown. Me being extroverted, I just enjoy talking to people. So it's not a big deal for me, but I'll have guys that I know, like when I was in the military, that didn't want to. They would refuse. Simply because they had all these like social stigmas attached to it. And so I'm not saying that you do, but I would say that make sure that, like, the reason, like, if you're frustrated, like you would like to cultivate a relationship with a girl like that and you feel like you can't, or you feel like you're just not good at it, or you feel like you, et cetera, I would say just make sure that like, if you don't, or you refuse to pursue that, just make sure that's what, like, you really want to do, and not just frustrated at a lack of progress, or frustrated because of something like that, if that makes any kind of sense at all.
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Because, like I said, there's nothing wrong with being like, no, I really don't care, or like, I'm really too busy for that. I just don't want to see you miss out on an opportunity that you would like to take because you feel like there's a shame there, because there's no shame there.
Yeah, that's something I've been having to learn over the years, because fucking I'm not super keen on, you know, bashing my old religion just thoroughly, just because I kind of feel like my angsty teenage atheist days are kind of over. But having said that whole upbringing, and like, for me, being taught that stuff had some sort of shame component to it, that's fucking child abuse.
Oh,
like, I don't know.
my God, dude. I'm not even atheist. I'm still very connected to, is it Christianity? Like, let me fucking guess here.
No, I was raised a sheik. Yeah, it knows.
Yes, dude. I had these problems when I was still in the church. I've been like, it used to drive me bonkers the way the church treated sex and sexuality, because it's like, I understand the way that the Bible teaches that fornication is a sin, but it's like they were teaching people, including me, that even having the urge was wrong. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with the urge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like there's like, Jesus God, like there's nothing wrong with the sexuality of human nature. Like that is your number one priority in this life, dog.
Yeah.
It's like, why does your body tell you to eat, sleep, drink water, to fuck, right? To procreate. That's why. Right. That's the number one thing. So it just blows my mind when people are like, they shame it, or any religion shames it, or anything. It's like that's our literal one purpose that our body is telling us to do all the time, especially as men, is to fuck.
Yeah, I noticed that there was this discrepancy, because it was like you couldn't really. It's not the same anymore. You can't really hold out like you used to be able to back in the day, because if they were like, "Hey, fornication's bad, you should really get together with someone," it was easier when people were getting shipped off together when they were fucking 13.
Right.
It's a bit more difficult when it's like, you're somebody who you're like, "Hey, here's an idea. I'd like to be established financially and in some sort of career before trying to take on another human being, because that matters to me, and I don't want to, treat my relationship with them as, something half-assed." Then it extends the timetable a bit.
Oh, absolutely. As far as actually having a child, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm still not sure if I want kids. I'm actually kind of terrified of having kids. I do not.
I feel you, man.
As of right now, I know that there's a certain amount of fear to it, but I still don't think I would make a good father as of right now. Not saying that can change, but
I definitely feel that, man. I will tell you that I felt the exact same way. I felt like I would be an awful father and I would never choose that road. And then that road was sort of chosen for me. And it turns out I'm actually not a bad father at all. I'm actually a pretty fucking good father. So you can't really predict it. That's all I was like. Keep an open mind is what I would say with that. Because sometimes you can surprise yourself. I didn't think I'd be a good father, and I'm not bad. So
I also sort of have this. It's not really a strong theory. It's just more of a hunch that as long as they're not, fucked up in some serious way, and I suppose that's, open to interpretation.
Right.
Type 8s, I kind of feel like, are one of the better parent type. I mean, and the reason why I'm saying that is not to bash on any other type or say that any other type can't be a good parent. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's It's like I've heard before that the type 8 is like the equivalent of the psychological adult of the Enneagram. And I'm sure there's plenty of not even sure, I know there's plenty of type 8s out there that you're just like, oh God, what a fucking dick. Like, but more than just being a dick, it's like, look at this man child running around. Show that there's is the fucking raw room talking? Oh, is that Eric or is that Tiff?
That's me.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry, it types at the top. Oh, Loki, it's Ken. Yee. I'm just not on the Chimera. Boy took the Enneagram. 8 wings, 7. But yeah, no, I think the challenger mindset of the 8 is a good one to have for a parent, because what the fuck is that noise?
I just stopped looking at porn while you're in the room. God damn it!
Sounded like a video game. Well,
remember that I was like doing 3 things at once. Forgot to say it to you.